Good evening and welcome to match day 5 of the FOSROC Super Series Championship as the Stirling Wolves host Watsonians. I'm your commentator Andrew Petrie and I'm joined by a legend of our game, Chris Paterson. Allow us to set the scene. The Wolves, fresh from their first win of the championship, welcome the only unbeaten side in the tournament to Bridgehaugh. It'll be a much more daunting task for Eddie Pollock's side than last week. A record-breaking 92-14 win over the FOSROC Future 15. Tonight's opposition have 3 wins from 3, looking to defend their championship crown that they won last season. It's sure to be an entertaining encounter. Chris, what do you make of it?
Well, I think, Stirling Wolves have only got 1 win from 3, but I think they're better than that in terms of the performances. Of course, they'll speak for themselves, but they're a physical side. They're well drilled at set piece. Eddie Pollock, you mentioned, the head coach, is a really experienced coach, experienced campaigner, especially in around the front row in their scrums. So they'll need that platform tonight because Watsonians have a physicality about them. They're 3 wins from 3, as you say, a lot of experience littered right across the pack. Big back row, pace in the wings of Freddie Housley, Jason Baggett pulling the strings at 10. So this is it. This is it's the opening game of the weekend, but it'll be a closely contested one.
Of course, we'll be keeping an eye out on the score from Meggetland. Barmere Bears against Ayrshire Bulls, and then Heriots Rugby against FOSROC's Future 15 tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We'll look back at Watson, second in the table, 3 wins from 3. They've only scored 84 points, but they've only conceded 36. Just how strong have they looked for you?
Well, the first week, the one against the Bulls, Ayrshire Bulls, which is it's very difficult to do. Obviously, Bulls are sitting at the top. They've played 1 more game than Watsonians, but Watsonians have a quality right across the park, and defensively they've been sound. They've probably not been as fluent in attack as they would like. They're looking to address that, and I know they had last weekend off without a game, and Nicky Walker was saying how much they'd come in at the start this week, looking ahead to get that attacking edge to the game, and it'll come. They'll find it. But as I say, it'll be a more physical battle than the probably last outing when they face the Wolves tonight.
Well, we'll look at that Watson's 15 in just a second. Coming up, though, the Stirling Wolves starting 15. Eddie Pollock only makes a couple of changes, 3 changes to the starting 15 after that drubbing of the Future 15. Gregor Hiddleston coming in alongside Marius Tamasitis in the front row. James Pow restored into the second row with George Brees coming onto the bench. Marcus Holding captaining again from 12. How impressed have you been with him, Chris?
Oh, yeah. The last couple of years really impressed. Plays at 10 a lot, but I think he really suits that 12 position, that second distributor, a good communicator. He's got a powerful runner himself, but he's a great distributor as well. So he'll work really closely with Craig Jackson. They're quite similar players really, with the amount of experience and power they have, and they work really well as a 10 and 12 combo to guide the Stirling Wolves around the field.
Well, Nicky Walker has named the exact same side that beat Barmere Bears convincingly 2 weeks ago. As we say, they've had that rest. I'll run you through the team now, starting with the backs. At fullback, Matt Reid, Scott King and Freddie Housley on the wings, George Pringle and Lewis Berg in the centres, with Murdo McAndrew and Jason Baggett as the half-backs. Up into the pack, Bobby Bratton, Jake Kerr and Mac Wilson make up the front row, Quagga Van Niekerk and Alfie Scopes in the second row, Lewis Ball, Seb Cecil and Neil Irvine Hess in the back row. Neil Irvine Hess, of course, the captain as well, as Jason Baggett just about to get us underway here at Bridgehaugh. Rory Campbell, the man in that fetching yellow and pink in the middle as the rain has started to pour down here in the central belt. Watson's ready to go. Stirling Wolves just taking their time a little bit in that huddle, and there's the Watson's lineup. You'll see no number next to Jake Kerr. He's not got a number on his back, but he is the hooker. Of course, what a week for Jake Kerr as well. What a week for the Kerr family, with his brother Josh winning the 1500 metres at the Athletics World Championships.
Okay, Marcus, ready?
Stirling just making Watson's wait a little. Some early mind games as Jason Baggett gets us underway. Match day 5 of the FOSROC Super Series Championship. Stirling very quick to clear their lines. How much of an impact do you think these wet conditions will have on the game, Chris?
Well, I think that opening plays told us a little bit. I think it was Russ McKnight that caught it, fed it to Kyle McGee, who just banged it. No look to play a phase or keep the ball in play, get it off the field and try and apply pressure through your line speed and force an error from the team who's attacking.
That's
Watson's pack, making yardage early on. Andrew gets it out to Baggett. Watson's testing that Wolves defence nice and early, seeing if they can pierce an early hole. Of course, the Wolves defence not overly tested last weekend, it must be said. Mina Kakasau with 2 tries against them for the FOSROC Future 15. What a player he is. Watson's again try and work it through the phases on that far side. Big hit, early doors. Wolves just trying to set a marker for their defence the rest of this game. Andrew with a little snipe. Actually gets that away to Pringle.
There's good defence with Stirling Wolves. You can see that Watsonians are unable to break through, even get their hands free. Half a line break. Stirling Wolves coming forward and making the tackles pretty well.
Ball's there, staying.
Just not able to make too many yards on this phase of play. Admirable, they're still trying to go through the hands in these conditions. No slips or spills just yet. Andrew, a little bit of indecision there, but the kick's good. Scott King gathered. Now they do make those yards. It's a little bit messy at the back of that ruck. Andrew now floating to Van Niekerk. It's a disjointed defence. Can Watsons make the best of it? Here's Freddie Owsley. Tries that little kick in. Just be tapped down by Glenn Bryce. He's done that a couple of times this season already, Freddie Owsley. It didn't work for him there.
It's so quick. It's so much pace, Freddie Owsley, but that time he was just so close to the touch and he managed to put the grubber kick through, forcing the goal line dropout as Glenn Bryce dots it down, but it must have been probably 2 minutes of continuous rugby there, almost exclusively with Watsonians having ball in hand. Still, the Wolves can be proud of their defence, but they'll be frustrated that they're stuck so close to their own third and now only clearing with a goal line dropout, and you'd expect more of the same from Watsonians.
Here they come again, looking for a nice early score. Big hit coming in there from Marius Tamasaitis.
Available.
Baggett. Pop ball to Irvin Hess. Inside this time for Van Niekerk.
Vantage, high tackle, just over the shoulder. Just get me a number there, please.
Watson's putting on some early pressure to their hosts. As McAndrew hops to that ball. Cecil. The whistle goes. Watsons have the advantage.
Yeah, it's just a high tackle, nothing too aggressive. The tackle just slid up. Was it Hamish Ferguson, I think, number 4, that was penalised. But still, in Wolves are missing an opportunity to get in over and win some turnover ball. The defensive line's excellent. It's in a solid shape. It's not coming up too quickly. It could probably be a bit more aggressive, but Watsonians are getting such clean ball because there's not a contest for possession. Gregor Hiddleston went in towards the end there and almost turned it over. Still enough to realise you're 4 minutes into this and you've not had your hands in the ball. I think there's definite opportunity to try and turn it over, getting in the jackal. Whereas the away side, Watsonians will be really comfortable. They're having lots of touches of the ball. They're keeping a good continuity. They're not doing anything too flash, but they're controlling the game so far.
And they're now in a very dangerous position. A little move off the top. Irvin Hess working his way towards the line. He's held up. McAndrew.
Vantage.
Awful mistimed, but the advantage is coming. Watson's heaving their way over the line. It's held up, but we'll come back for that advantage again.
2 players here and here, offsides.
Offside. Accumulation of penalties already coming out. This is quite a difficult one really for Stirling, because it almost looked as if Murdo McAndrew went to play the ball and it wasn't quite ready and the timing was poor. I think Quagga Van Niekerk looked as if he was going to come onto the ball and the ball was held up a little bit, and to be fair, I think Stirling Wolves fell for that. Jumped offside before retreating back on side. So a little bit fortunate for Watsonians, but then complete control here. I wouldn't be too surprised if this is a driving maul. The last one came off the top. They try to sneak down the front.
Well, this time they're just going to use their power, try and heave over.
Knock on.
But there's a knock on,
50C.
and there is that spill and slip
Watson.
that we warned about earlier.
After the line outs to the mark
And
of the
Watson spill it on the Stirling line.
Yeah, Watsonians win it. I think Van Neerkirk actually spills it forward and it bounces back off a Stirling Wolves player back into his
As we
hand.
discussed, slow,
So he's lost control of it.
holding your weight.
Well spied from Rory Campbell. And that's a win for Wolves in terms of trying to force that error. But they'll have to rely on their scrum here to get off their own goal line. That's a goal line just behind them, and most of the 6 minutes have been played in this 22.
Crouch!
They certainly felt that. Watsonians' first try was inevitable there.
Set!
Jake Kerr, of course, a hat-trick in his last game. He must have been licking his lips with that prospect, but
Out we come.
the ball spilled and Wolves have a chance at least to clear their lines.
If Stirling Wolves are to win
We've
this
pre-engaged, so holding the space,
scrum
taking it
or
away.
win possession from
Heights
the
on
scrum,
side, please.
it's a really difficult corner to kick out from. You can imagine Kyle McGee will be under pressure at the back of the scrum. Craig Jackson's heels will be towards his own goal line, but you see just to the left of your picture, Marcus Holden, the number 12. There's space there. Sometimes you think you have to kick immediately when you're so close to your line, but Marcus Holden there just
Crouch!
to your left, there's space for him to run into to set up or try and break the line, but then set up a face to
Set!
make a slightly easier kick from. But we'll see if we get the ball at the scrum. No chance.
Tight,
And
tight
the
head
penalty
below hips.
goes to
Tight head
Stirling.
below hips.
And that's a really big win for them.
Just DC.
On their own 5-metre line. Front row getting the congratulations.
Defensive line.
A front row which includes the
Guys, you're on the
22-stone Marius Tamasitis. 6'4" of him. I'm glad I'm not up against him. Gregor Hiddleston gets that throw in. Again, it's messy.
Knock on.
And now this time there's a knock on from
Guy
Stirling
one over
Wolves.
15.
Yeah, it's good pressure from Watsonians actually.
Tight head below hips, going straight down.
It's
Stand there now.
you quite often see
Needs to stay up.
teams not challenging and staying the ground, but because the conditions are so wet and slippy, and because you're far enough away from your own goal line, it kind of makes your decision for you if you're a Watsonians player. But it's good to see. I like to see that. I like to see players getting up, challenging, trying to disrupt at source. And Watsonians have got the reward for being brave in there, forcing the knock on, and now they've got an excellent attacking opportunity themselves with a good blind side, a good right hand side to the scrum here. Neil Irvin Hess will be eyeing that up.
Bind!
Whereas in the backs on the left hand side,
Set.
Jason Baggett will be screaming
Hold.
for the ball to come their way.
No, up we come.
And for the third time,
Stop.
the scrum goes
I need you to
down.
hold your weight and stay
after
low.
only 8 minutes.
Big gap there.
We're yet
We
to
come
see a
together, we
completed
hold the
scrum.
weight, and then we drive through after. Both have to hold it.
Ray Campbell laying down the law to the front row.
Yeah, he's trying to get the balance before the drive comes on. The scrum needs to be stable before any drive comes on, and it's never in a stable position on this near side. Between Matt Wilson for Watsonians and Liam Quam for the Wolves, they have to be in a stable position before the drive, before the push.
Bind!
Let's see if they can hold it here.
Set! Up.
That's better.
K9.
McAndrew digging for it. Gets it out to Baggett. That was Scott King running that line. McAndrew delays the pass. Gets it to Neil Irvin Hess, and the ball spilled again.
Still it.
I don't think that's the last time I'll be saying that tonight.
Okay.
Wolves with another chance to try and clear their lines. They're back behind their own try line.
Advantage over.
And they try the cross kick, it works. Ross McKnight straight at his man. Able to shift it out to Marcus Holden, who's then dunted back by Jake Kerr.
Stay.
Hiddleston.
Tidge.
Ball goes down again. Alfie Scopes picks up. And it's wet and wild here in
Advantage over.
Bridgehaugh. And it looks like Watson's
White.
might be the team to capitalise.
Leave it.
Yet
10.
again, they're camped inside the Stirling half.
Ruck's formed.
And there's a penalty there against Craig Jackson. The ruck was formed as he went scavenging for that ball.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, once the ruck's formed, you can't use your hands. You can only use your hands as the first arriving player. You can see Craig Jackson's actually been told there by the referee to leave it.
Play it down.
He still goes along with it. It's a and be frustrating for Eddie Pollock and the Stirling Wolves coaching staff, because they had an opportunity to clear. I quite like their ambition to play, but that after if you have that first attack and they don't get in momentum, then that's probably where you cut your losses and try and clear, especially when for the opening 10 minutes of the game it's all been in your own third.
And this is referee Rory Campbell having a word with Mac Wilson about these scrums. Watsonians player receives treatment in the background. You'd have to think Watsonians will go for the corner again. It's not worked on the first couple of occasions. If at first you don't succeed.
Yeah, I think they're obviously feeling quite confident, so that they're probably going to, well, they are, I think, going to go to the touch again.
Okay, water off,
as a
please.
former goal kicker, I do like early on to take points if you can, or take the option of points, especially when you've had one or two attempts and you haven't gotten over the line. I think if you're still moves, you're probably quite happy if Watsonians take the kick at goal. So the psychological battle will be going on. Baggett finds a nice touch, and I think this will be a drive as well. I think we'll see Jake Kerr get his hands in the back and the ball at the back of this maul, rather than anything too fancy.
Kerr finds his man. Sure enough, he joins the back of that maul. It's a good initial shove from the Wolves, but Kerr is waiting there ominously, waiting for his chance to pounce. He tries, he's brought down though. It's good defence from Stirling. Andrew goes short. They go over the line, it's held up again.
Good defence, really good defence. Initially from the driving maul, and then when Jake Kerr peeled off to the right, he had to use it because the maul had been stopped twice. He peeled off on his own a little bit, and it was Hamish Ferguson who made the initial tackle. Then when it was recycled, Craig Jackson's in there.
Play on.
Connor Gordon's in there. And it's another opportunity missed for Watsonians. Good defence from the Wolves.
Wolves has done well to clear that. Watson's briefly back in their own half, but here's Freddie Owsley up against Sam Rockley. All brought down. Watson running into his fellow prop there. Of course, that Watson's Ayrshire Bulls game right at the start of the season finished 3-11. Conditions were even worse than this, if you can believe. Hopefully we're not in for a similarly low-scoring game this evening, as Glenn Bryce takes the chance to clear the Wolves down the pitch. Just fed back at them. It'll be Jackson. Keeps it in play, Baggett. Little game of kick tennis. Both sides vying for territory. Owsley doesn't fancy sending it skyward. Instead, he produces a fancy little step. There's the kick over the top. Can he beat Jackson to the ball? Very nearly. Jackson caught out. He pops off to Rockley. Craig Jackson just about got away with that.
Casual goal line clearance, isn't it?
Don't think he realised how fast Freddie Owsley is as Jason Baggett goes for the long distance drop goal. It falls short. Well, he wanted points on the board eventually, but it remains scoreless after 13. That kick just holds up, and then George Pringle gets it all wrong. Well, you won't want to see that one back.
No, that's a big win for Stirling. You can see the kick tennis, and what the players are trying to do is they obviously want to look for territory, but they're also waiting for either a poor kick or a poor chase to launch a counter-attack. Owsley launched the counter-attack. It was covered in eventually by Craig Jackson. This is 2 or 3 phases later. Craig Jackson sees all that space in the backfield because there's been so much movement back and forward in the kick tennis, and that's just unlucky, isn't it, for George Pringle? He almost gets his feet muddled up and back heels into touch, and the result is a quality line opportunity for Stirling Wolves.
And this is the first real chance that Stirling Wolves have had in Watsonians territory. Of course, 14 tries last weekend. Is there perhaps a little knock on there?
Stay.
Nothing given against Gregor Hiddleston. Holden to Jackson, tries the kick through. It almost worked, but Scott King anticipated it well.
Inside 9. Okay. Hold.
Baggett.
2 weight.
Almost charged down there by Kyle McGee. Can only find the breadbasket of Craig Jackson. Bryce into Rockley. I don't think he'll thank him for that pass.
Had a good chance to win it. He needs to lift up the ball. No.
Slow on the base of that ruck.
Yeah, got advantage.
And the ball goes to deck again.
Advantage
McAndrew
over.
reading that well. Tried the kick. It was blocked by Hiddleston.
Advantage is over.
After all that frantic play, it'll be a throw on the far side. Yeah, Rory Campbell, the referee's calling advantage over really quite quickly. Now, there's no hard and fast rule. Well, there are, but it's, you know, territory or a scoring opportunity from advantage. But these are scrum advantages, knock-on advantages, rather than a penalty advantage. So the advantage is genuinely shorter. But it's calling it really quickly, which is kind of forcing the, I suppose, the attacking team to play or keep ball in hand. That's a penalty advantage you have now.
7 early inside.
I think Stirling Wolves will be pretty happy, considering they've faced, you know, all the second in territory, second in possession, undoubtedly in the opening 15 minutes. But it remains 0-0. I think Watsonians have had 3 or 4 opportunities to score. They've failed to take any of them, and that momentum can build for the defensive team. I think Stirling Wolves will be pretty happy where they are.
Certainly, momentum does seem to be with the hosts, and now they've got another chance in Watsonians territory.
Careful on entry, please. Careful.
Perhaps a little far out, maybe, to try that driving maul for the line. Hiddleston certainly feel there's a sniff.
Hey. That's once.
3 tries for the Stirling Wolves hooker so far this season. He's got a good record against Watsonians as well, but the Bridgehaugh side goal through the hands. That's Southern with 11 on his back. Hiddleston outside to Jackson, punching up the middle. Here we go through Hamish Ferguson. What can Stirling produce now? Tamasitis chops low and the big tree falls. McGee, Jackson, another big tackle, and the ball spilled. Now Freddie Owsley, he thought about the counter there for sure, ended up putting ball to boot. Glenn Bryce has to scurry back. Has he spotted a gap there? No, it's brilliantly taken by Jason Baggett.
Get mark, guys.
But the kick, not quite as good. And we're going all the way back. Well, Baggett, that's so unfortunate after a brilliant piece of skill.
It was a brilliant, in the conditions, sliding catch, and sometimes when that happens, you're so relieved to have made the catch that the secondary effort then becomes, you know, you don't concentrate and focus so much on it. I mean, you're almost evaluating how good your first effort was, and just got his bearings wrong. And it's again, it's another unforced error really from Watsonians. It's allowing Stirling to wrestle momentum back. It's good effort up the line again from Van Niekerk for Watsonians.
Hiddleston with the dart, and Niekerk with the steal. It really has been a topsy-turvy game.
Yes, 9.
It might just come down to who can control those errors the best, who can try and eliminate them from their game. McGee spins off to Jackson and Bryce. Good bit of dancing from Bryce. And almost freed Southern on the far side.
Clear off it.
Good recovery from Stirling. It looked like they'd gone quite far back under their own steam, really. McGee.
Out 10.
To the sky. Really any Stirling takers there, and Seb Cecil happy to gather.
Leave it 5.
It'll be Watson's ball.
Yeah, no clear release from James Pound, the tackle. There's a tackle completed there. And he stays in the ball, tries to win the turnover. He has to show a release. He has to look to lift his arms away from the ball, out of the tackle, to come in on a secondary effort. Well picked up by Rory Campbell. But the game's quite messy and scrappy, isn't it? You know, conditions are playing a part, but just when it looks as if one team's getting a little bit of momentum, a little bit of composure, there we see another unforced error that it's going to allow Glenn Bryce to thump it back towards Watsonians' half. The game's struggling for quality at the moment.
It certainly stuttered to life more than anything. A big hit in the midfield. G's up the crowd, but Jake Kerr's been released. He pops off to Owsley, inside to McAndrew. Does he have the legs to go all the way? No, that's a fantastic tackle from Craig Jackson. Wiped out the man and the referee. And a little handshake of respect between McAndrew and Jackson there, because that was an unbelievable try stopper.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just saying the game's lacked quality. Well, it comes to life here. The brilliant pass from Murdo McAndrew to Jake Kerr, who sets off Owsley. Ball back inside to McAndrew, doing his all nines do, working hard for that second touch. And watch this. Craig Jackson comes over, tackles McAndrew, tackles Michael Todd, the assistant referee as well. I'll get 2 in the tackle stats for that, and saves a certain try.
But the throw's poor, and Stirling put themselves back under pressure, and it's a try. Well, Craig Jackson will be furious. After all his hard work, Stirling throw it away on their own 5 metre, and Jake Kerr capitalises and punishes Stirling for the first try of the game.
Yeah, it's Hiddleston with a throw just too high. Maybe the call was disruptive as well, but I'll tell you what, Jake Kerr, his opposite man, picks the ball up really quickly, quick as a flash, and managed to wriggle over the line. And we're just saying, other than that wonderful piece of quality just before, the game's been mistake-ridden, and it's a mistake that's led to the first try. There's an intended recipient, but Jake Kerr
definitely agree with that.
Does reach the line just, doesn't
Yeah, it's not the cleanest of groundings that you'll see, but Rory Campbell has his hand in the air. The try is given.
Yeah, I think.
Looked like he might have just been held short before he reached out for the white paint.
Yeah, you can have one opportunity to place the ball, and it looked like he just made it, Jake Kerr. Craig Jackson in with the tackle again. He reacted pretty quickly as well. Almost looked as if he'd stopped Jake Kerr. Jake Kerr looked quite clumsy, almost he fell at his knees and stopped his own momentum, but managed to wriggle free and get the ball down for the opening try.
Well, 4th try of the season for Jake Kerr. That makes him Watsonians' top try scorer. And Baggett's kick is good. Watsonians, after 22 minutes, after threatening for such large parts of this game, finally get themselves on the score sheet through the Scotland cap, Jake Kerr. Well, we said this game has rather stuttered to life. We finally have our first try. I think it sort of sums up how this game's rather messy.
Defence as well, in all honesty, good defensive structure, some physical contact and scrambled defence. But there's been too many handling errors, too many knock-ons to really assert pressure on the defences. So McAndrew's going to probably pop this up in the air.
One!
Bryce is the man underneath. Oh, that's fantastic from Bryce. He spotted a gap from nothing. He needs some support. He's got it in Kyle McGee, who shifts it wide to McKnight. Now he can move, but it's brilliant play from Scott King. That's fantastic wing defence. And Ross McKnight couldn't punish Watsonians.
Yeah, really good tackle for Scott King. Brilliant counter-attack from Glenn Bryce. Stirling actually worked really hard to get back, to give options for the ball carrier and counter-attack. Bryce takes total advantage of that and slices through the middle. And you can see Scott King there is just biding his time. He doesn't jump in too quickly, allows Ross McKnight to show what he's going to do, then comes in and completes a tackle against a much bigger player. Good defence from King.
I just wonder if that mispass from Kyle McGee maybe could have gone through the hands to find Marcus Holden, try and draw Scott King in. Either way, the Wolves pass up that chance.
Yeah, the ball was in the air for a long time, which allows Scott King to get his defensive positioning right. And then obviously the second part of that is to complete the tackle, which he did really well. But if the ball goes through holding hands, it gives Holden a chance to fix the defence as well. There's a change being made already.
Well, Seb Cecil has been struggling with an injury since quite early on in the game. We saw him getting treatment. He has now been replaced. An early change to Watson's back row. I don't think that will be Murray Scott who's come on. I'd be surprised if the little scrum half was forced to get himself involved in the pack. Jackson. It's McKnight. Far from his wing. Liam Quant.
Tackle!
Taking that one into contact as McGee assesses his options. Bryce's kick is charged down. But there's McKnight to pick up. There's a big hit again in the midfield. We have seen a couple of really big collisions. Well, there is number 21 on the pitch. I can assure you that's not Murray Scott. We'll do our best to find out who that is. Mistake in the back, but Scott King again. Great anticipation, pops off to Freddie Owsley.
6! Happy DC.
Here's Southern. Shifts it to Holden. Yeah, Jackson on the wraparound.
Good clear out.
That's a great counter ruck from Watsonians. And they win the penalty.
Yeah, definitely applying more pressure at the breakdown. I think Irvin Hess is maybe slightly fortunate that he drove through, then went off his feet, which interfered with the ball. But because they're going forward, because they're driving through the contact, and then they get the forces still moves to use their hands, and they're penalised. And I think Watsonians just take this opportunity to calm it down, slow it down. That was another long phase of play, and they'll probably just thump this as far down the pitch as possible.
Okay, guys, let's go. Just under 5, 10. Swing out, DC.
Well, you were right, Chris. Watsonians just thumping that down the pitch.
And taking their time, just trying to bring a bit of composure and calmness. Because I see the last couple of minutes have been fairly manic.
Hold.
Watson's moving it fast.
Vantage, knock on.
Lewis Bird, but the knock on again.
He's away.
We can't be too harsh. It is like a ball of, sorry, a
Vantage
bar
over.
of soap out there.
Oh, he's inside.
A ball of soap.
A ball of soap, yeah. Both would be bad. There's Matt Reid trying to scurry forward. Not seen too much of Watsonians fullback in the first half hour. McAndrew to bag it in there. The ball going to deck again. Hiddleston trying to move it quickly. It's Hasdell.
Tackle, release 2.
Again, a strong
Vantage
counter
over.
up from Watsonians, just making it really scrappy, and a fantastic turnover from Scopes. Irvine Hess tries to get the ball out to Pringle. Scopes again. Momentum just swinging back to the visitors. Baggett with that flat pass. Oh, there's the breakthrough from Bobby Bratton. Big hit in the backfield. Will it be enough to keep the Watsonians at bay?
Wash the legs.
Rockley and Southern try and hold it up. The ball goes loose.
Four's knocked on the ground.
And we come back for the knock on. Well, it's messy. It's a bit scrappy. Watsonians just about having the better of the play so far.
Yeah, Bobby Bratton making a line break from a delayed pass. It was really quite clever and cute from the loose head to take the space, and it was wonderfully chopped down by Glenn Bryce in behind, but too many handling errors again. And some are unforced, some are forced. Some are forced because of the Stirling Wolves defence and the actual power behind the tackle and the low tackle. The contact is forced in one or two spills. So it tells you one or two things. A, you have to get a good control of the ball if you're carrying it to contact, and you want as much contact in the ball as possible. So use your hand, obviously your forearm, your elbow, and you squeeze it against your jersey, keep it nice and tight, or you attack someone else. Maybe where the ball carrier's running is too congested, the defence is too set and ready. So an extra pass, which in these conditions is difficult, but it actually can be worth that risk, that reward by shifting it maybe one pass further out and getting running at more space, because we've already seen Stirling Wolves' defence in the tackle is excellent.
Absolutely. Well, that substitution that we told you about earlier wasn't Murray Scott who came on. It was Campbell Wilson, who's wearing the number 21.
It's like for like, isn't it? Like good
Absolutely.
back row. Campbell, he'll get over the top of the ball. He's tough and the same mould.
Another former George Watson's College pupil. Quite a few of them in this Watsonian squad, including the try scorer Jake Kerr, who's just being attended to there. Quite a lot of strapping on that elbow.
Matt Wilson as well, just having a word with Rudy Campbell, the referee. There's obviously something that they keep debating around these scrums. The last couple have been slightly better, but
well, you can see
there
them
we go again, yeah,
picking at their studs, as if to imply it's a little bit slippy underfoot. Got to get those long studs out. Get a big push on here. And this is another really big chance for Watsonians to extend their lead. Can they find their second try of the game?
No, time off.
There's the scrum going down again.
Been a bit for a scrum. You're not getting binds in the body.
Rory Campbell
stay up and stay high.
issuing his instructions again. The referee.
Okay.
This is where it's the same message from Rory Campbell, and you don't like to see it. But we're not getting a completed scrum, we're not getting a completed effort. Do they? You've seen it often before where it's just a yellow card, both players. Listen, if you're not going to do what I'm telling you, or you're not going to do what I'm asking, we can't get a stable platform, then we're going to have to try and get somebody who should. So they want to be balanced, they want a good position, that's fine there. And on the set, much better, flat backs, stable platform.
Stay up.
Looks like we have a completed scrum. Irvin Hess gets it out to McAndrew.
Tackle.
That's a strong hit again.
Connor Gordon.
Van Niekerk. And it's pinched. That's Connor Gordon again.
Still in.
What a game the flanker's having.
Ball hadn't left the right.
And Watsonians then trying to pinch it themselves illegally. And Stirling have the penalty. They breathe another sigh of relief.
Player clearly bound on, hadn't left, back 10.
Yeah, Connor Gordon was involved in the initial tackle, popped his feet in the ruck immediately after. He stepped over, won the ball. His vice captain this evening, but a real leadership performance from the open side, and he's really grown into this game because it is one of those, we keep saying, the scrappy games with difficult underfoot conditions, a slippy ball. And then he's just getting up with the headband, coming out the initial tackle, stepping in, coming from an onside position, lifting the ball, winning it, and then the ruck's formed there before Watsonians coming at the side. Is it Jake Kerr or is it maybe Lewis Ball? Lewis Ball on this side, giving the penalty away.
9 News. No.
McGee going to the skies. Owsley well under it. Gets the pass away to King. Tried that step. Away from Hamish Ferguson. The Watsonians have dominated possession, they've dominated territory. They're not really fully dominating the scoreline, and that's a testament to that Stirling defence. Jackson held up.
Okay. Use.
McGee shipping it out, and Stirling assessing their options. Bryce, who's already found a gap a couple of times, And he's done brilliantly there, McGee, giving him the support. That's Pow. And Powie crashes into the defenders. The ball goes to the deck again. Backwards, says the referee. No, this time it has been knocked forward.
Glenn Bryce with another break, isn't it? It's very similar to the one before, although the one before was some counter-attack, similar part of the field. And then eventually, a couple of phases later, Kyle McGee supporting the inside. There he goes, looks to, shapes to kick, throws the dummy and then takes off right in the middle of the field. Look at number 9, Kyle McGee, working hard to get that inside support line, and then this is the ball you want. You're in behind the defensive line, you're flooding forward. It takes a big tackle there from Jason Baggett to slow the momentum, and from there, Watsonians can regroup. Ross McKnight just slips the ball out of his grasp, and initially it went backwards, then it goes forward. It's a scrum to Watsonians. That's just, there's elements of quality coming into the match, but it's followed by a mistake in there as well. I think we've got a bump to Matt Wilson at the moment. He seemed to take a blow on one of the rucks previously. I think Tamasatis cleared him out.
Well, there's a heavyweight collision if ever there was one. Tamasitis against Mac Wilson. Just highlight Glenn Bryce there. Fantastic little burst. Almost set up a scoring opportunity with another little run through the Watsonians defence. 3 tries for him last weekend in that 92-14 win over the FOSROC Future 15. Player of the match performance. How impressive has he been for Stirling Wolves since rejoining his local club?
Yeah, he's brought so much experience back as well. Obviously professional experience here in Scotland and overseas. He's got a great kicking game, he's composed, and you can still see that instinct to run and find the space. So it's a really good example of just a calming influence around everybody else. He's obviously said, or a big part, it looks to me as if he's obviously said in training for Stirling Wolves, along with the coaches, listen, if a ball gets put in behind us, get back, get as many players back as quickly as possible so we can threaten to counter-attack. And I think the work rate off the ball from other players is really helping him expose these gaps as well, as Matt Wilson is leaving us.
I certainly didn't expect that shock of blonde hair.
I never used to look like that. Huh?
When the blue scrum cap came off. Looks like Mac Wilson's race is run. He'll be replaced by Gregor Skugel in the Watsonians front row. And here's a test for you. First thing to do, get this scrum going.
That's on the side that we were having a bit of difficulty with as well, wasn't it? Liam Clarn for Stirling Wolves and Matt Wilson. The last scrum, we got a great shot. It was much better. There was stability before the ball went in, and there was nobody's shoulders and head below their hips facing down the way they're driving through it. We need to get that stability to be able to play off the back of these scrums.
Set! Hold! Keep it up.
Well, it stays up for the moment, just about. We have clean ball. Jason Baggett boots it downfield. McKnight covering, does well to hold that. Bryce this time goes high, and the bounce just catches out Matt Reid there.
A wee bit fortunate with that one, I think, Bryce, but just what we were mentioning before about having a calm influence and talking to players. Ross McKnight, a young winger, I mean, he knows anyway, but Glenn Bryce will have been saying, listen, have a look at Jason Baggett. He's sitting quite deep in the pocket. If he kicks early, get back, feed me. Just those little bits of constant communication the whole time that allow you to work in the back three as 3 players rather than 2 wingers and a full back on his own. And because Ross McKnight could cover that, he was able to feed it back to Glenn Bryce without the ball hitting the turf and thump it back downfield. It's good back 3 play.
Kerr's set piece is good, but it's a fairly even contest between the 2 packs. It's McAndrew with the box kick. Again, putting Ross McKnight under pressure, but he did well catching that over his shoulder. Former Watsonians winger playing against his former club. Ball spilled again.
Hold in front!
Before Matt Reid can clear. Jackson. Feeds to Bryce, spinning away from the challenges. McGee. word from McGee, when Bryce does make those runs as well, he's always a supporting man. Kyle McGee did that so well last weekend. He's done it well again when he's had the opportunity tonight. Not that he's had too many opportunities, right enough.
It's there. Use it.
Hiddleston. Always so noticeable in that green scrum cap. It's Holden. Lost it to Baggett, who calls the mark.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think there's a knock to Craig Jackson, which meant he wasn't in his position quickly and it slowed possession down. Marcus Holden then jumps into that first receiver position where he expects Craig Jackson to be, and then his kick carries too long. Clever play again from Jason Baggett just to mark it and take the sting out of the game. Maybe Jackson will get a bit of treatment here, but it was just where Stirling Wolves were trying to build momentum and then losing that playmaker for those 1 or 2 phases. You have to identify that quicker and get somebody into that first receiver position to organise the team.
Well, despite the number on his back, I'm pretty sure that is Craig Jackson. Must admit, I thought he was wearing 10 at the start, so that must have been a
jersey swap.
a change. He's just getting a bit of treatment on that left ankle. Of course, Stirling can change it up so much in that back line. Marcus Holden can slip into 10. Cameron Scott, another fly half on the bench. Mikey Heron can come into the centres. And although he's wearing 11, Ryan Southern can play either 12 or 13, the South African. So plenty of options if Craig Jackson does have to leave the pitch. I'm sure Stirling will want to keep him on though.
We spoke about at the top of the show how important it was with his relationship with Marcus Holden. The two, he doesn't look in good shape, does he? He's wincing as the ankle's getting tested. It looks almost like they're going to strap over the top of his boot, but how effective he'll be, I'm not too sure. There's a lot of good decisions. It's Craig Jackson. He's an experienced player as well.
Certainly is one of the most experienced players in that Stirling Wolves lineup. Previously represented Scotland Sevens as well as Melrose, Hartpury College, London Scottish and Selkirk. Not quite as well travelled as Marcus Holden. I'd be here all night if I was listing all of his clubs. Bit of a globe trotter. Jackson seems happy enough to continue. And Jason Baggett will get us back underway as the floodlights beam down at Bridgehaugh. Rain seems to have eased a little for the time being. One of the most picturesque settings in Scottish rugby, it must be said.
Yeah, of course it was a mark from Jason Baggett, so it'll be a Stirling Wolves throw-in.
Let's go, Stirling!
Hiddleston. Good throw from the young Scottish hooker. Plenty of under-20s caps for him as well.
Two don't change!
He's going to that vital age now. Still young, can still break through. He's quite happy to just keep the ball at the back of that rolling maul. And now he's broken away. But he's not done so cleanly. Yeah, running into his own man.
Yeah, he's in front. Yeah, he's running the shield almost. A blocker near Evan Hess does really well here because he knows what's going on here, and he makes really Campbell really aware of it. As soon as this maul breaks off, the ball kind of has to be at the front because the maul's completed. So, yeah, Gregor Hilson will be frustrated at that. It was actually a really good maul before it, though. It was actually pretty poor defence from Watsonians as well in terms of how far the maul travelled, and at quite a slow speed. Then it came to a stop and then started up again. And not to make the most of that territorial advantage, and that go forward ball will frustrate Stirling Wolves.
We're only a few minutes away from half-time, and we've just seen the one score. And yet again, the scrum goes down. Watsons take it quick. Baggett goes back and a big hit. The referee has seen it.
What's that?
Marcus Holding can't gather. I think we're going to come all the way back for that late hit.
Yeah, I think it was 2 in a row, I think, wasn't there? There's one, I think, Connor Gordon on Jason Baggett initially, and then I think Craig Jackson followed in late on a second attempt. This is a scrum that was free kick. You can see Scougal's feet going clean under him. And then from here, Jason Baggett pops on, and it is a couple of seconds late. There we go, Connor Gordon hits late. Jackson's isn't too bad on Lewis Berg, but you can see Craig Jackson there. I think his race is run as well. He seems to be gesturing that that ankle isn't going to allow him to continue.
Yeah, just a little rib tickler there from Connor Gordon on Jason Baggett. Craig Jackson certainly looked in a lot of discomfort as he put in that slightly later hit as well.
Important moment in the match. You say, a couple of minutes out from half time for Watsonians. If they can cement that lead with another try, really apply pressure on the Stirling for the start of the second half.
6 out. Okay, 9. Use it.
From Watsonians is much better. McAndrew to Baggett. Owsley thought about giving that pass and then had second thoughts. Kept it himself. Just a little disjointed in the back line at the moment as Van Niekerk takes it forward. Pringle. Desperate to try and get that pop away around the back. The Stirling defenders were there. Here's Van Niekerk, spotted a gap. Pow wraps him up. McAndrew and Baggett. Matt Reid coming into the line again. Watsonians just not the sharpest of lines. Still a little hesitant. Lacking maybe in confidence as Van Niekerk is hit back well by Pow.
No, don't touch it.
McAndrew. Berg. Not seen too much of Berg. He's a very direct runner and he's got them up to the edge of the 22. Van Hess.
Watsonians begin to make ground on every carry.
That was really slack. A knock on in the tackle. As McKnight tries to drag Scott King out. And that's the last play of what's been a fairly scrappy half. Stirling Wolves I should say 0. Watsonians 7. Been plenty of talking points though, and we'll take you through them in the next few minutes. But Chris, what are your overall thoughts on that first 40 minutes?
Well, you mentioned it's scrappy. It has been. I think a lot of that's due to the conditions, and as a few, I suppose, instances way down to good defence as well. I think defences have been better than the attacks in terms of their structure, in terms of their intensity. Anytime there has been a line break, the scramble effort's been good. The one try that we'll see in a moment has come from an overthrown line out, so it hasn't really been created. It's been reacted to a mistake. So there have been too many mistakes. But I think that last passage of play was quite similar to most of the first half, where Watsonians had possession, had territory, they were going through the phases, but without really actually challenging the Stirling Wolves defence. They're challenging it in terms of, can you make a tackle, can you stop us, but not challenging in terms of where we're going to attack next, how many dummy runs there are. I think the attacks are a little bit narrow. There's probably not enough timing or good timing on the ball to threaten the defences, but defences on top, as the score suggests. As I say, just one try, 7 points in it. There have been opportunities for Stirling Wolves, but far more for Watsonians.
Well, I mentioned it right at the top of the show. Watsonians have only got 84 points from their 3 wins. Now, obviously, the most important thing is the 3 wins. But the 84 points, is that maybe showing you that that attacking line just maybe isn't quite hitting top gear just yet?
I think so. Attack's much harder to... I think it's much harder to do than defend. I think if you're tough and you're brave and you're fit and you've got the right attitude, you can defend reasonably well. Yeah, you'll be, maybe make a mistake every now and again, but the creativity and element of attack makes it very difficult. You have to be cohesive, you have to be working together, you have to have dummy runs who are viable options. You need quick ball, you need a good set piece, so it is much more difficult. And as teams tend to grow through the season, the attack builds and builds and builds, so it's understandable. The 3 wins are exactly what Watsonians are after, but they'll be frustrated themselves with 1 or 2 things. Where they have looked good is on a delayed pass at times. I think one of the time Bobby Bratton went through, I think Van Neerkirk went through towards the end as well, where they're almost delaying that pass and having a blind pass to somebody arriving late. So there's definitely positives there for Watsonians' attack, but they'll hopefully be much more slick. But the defence is good as well. I know we're going to have a look at some of the defence from both sides, especially from Stirling Wolves and the try in a moment as well. So it's half time. I think there'll be a lot to chat about in half time from both coaches. I think Eddie Pollard could be frustrated, maybe overplaying at times, too close to their own third, and I think Nicky Walker will be frustrated with not taking the opportunities that Watsonians have had.
And as you say, that try really coming from a Stirling Wolves mistake, therefore not out with the realms of possibility that this could be 0-0 at half time.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a mistake, but it was also a mistake close to the line, so Watsonians have manufactured that position. They've worked hard to make good decisions and apply the pressure to be in that area of the field, but it was a mix-up and an overthrown and well reacted to by Jake Kerr. So, you have to give Watsonians credit for where most of the game has been played. Probably the most standout scintillating breaks have come from Stirling Wolves. Glenn Bryce to the fore on a couple of occasions. But both teams, I keep going back to the defensive element, have had big moments. We saw that Craig Jackson try saving tackle. Scott King had a tackle on his opposite number, Ross McKnight at the other end. So the defences have been top. This is a try saving tackle. We just said there wasn't a lot of quality in the game until this point, and Murray McAndrew's delayed pass to Jake Kerr, who pops it outside to Freddie Owsley and back and said, at this point you thought Murray McAndrew was going to make it. You can't see from the right, but Craig Jackson's comes across, there he goes, gets the angle right, low tackle, chop into touch. Michael Todd, the assistant referee, takes it as well, and this is probably an even better angle to look at the attacking element of from Watsonian's point of view, keeping the ball alive, feeding it back inside to the support runner, and then Craig Jackson with the try saver coming across, making the tackle from this line out. And that's where we said Watsonians were able to apply pressure to get in the right area of the field, and from that line out, Stirling Wolves get the drill wrong. The throw from Hedelson's probably a little bit too high. It's over the top of Hamish Ferguson, and Jake Kerr reacts as quick as anybody else. Struggles to make the line, but does make it, and that's the only try of the first half.
Absolutely, it's been a little short on quality chances for tries, and as we say, that Craig Jackson try saver is probably the best one, and then of course it leads to this moment.
Having a look at that again, the movement's slow, isn't it, with Ferguson? It's almost, I don't want to say it's half-hearted, but it looks as if they're working through the process, not believing it's the right thing to do. You've got to be committed to that. The movement across the ground has to be quicker in order to show move into position, get the snap, get the time right. Hookers are almost always blamed, but there's so much movement there that isn't done quick enough, that should be done quick, and if it is done quicker, then the throw is probably in the right spot. But well done for Jake Kerr. He kind of had a look at Rudy Campbell. Did I get that?
Marcus Holden has his hands over his mouth. He couldn't believe that had been given. I think it was kind of almost rolled over the line in the end by Jake Kerr, with his hand still, or his forearm still on top of the ball as he got there for this game's only try. Currently Stirling Wolves 0, Watsonians 7 at half time, after a messy, scrappy first half that the defences have dominated. But we will find the positives in this, absolutely, here at Bridgehaugh. We'll be bringing you more action in about 5 minutes time here from Bridgehaugh.
Camera 3 has Atmos on board. That's all. Cammy comes up. How's that for 3? You tweak there, how's that? Okay.
Well, Watsonians sent out nice and early by Nicky Walker. And here come Stirling Wolves. Only a 7-point deficit to try and turn around. They've only beaten Watsonians twice in this competition. Both times here at Bridgehaugh though. But it has been a little while since that happened. The 26th of September 2021. When they won by 2 points. The other time was in January 2020 when they won by 3. So if it is a Wolves win, it might well be tight. Marcus Holden gets ready to get us back underway.
Okay, Watsons.
Rory Campbell is the man in the middle. He blows his whistle. And the second half begins here at Bridgehaugh between the Stirling Wolves and Watsonians. Watsonians with a slender lead as they look to maintain that 100% record in the FOSROC Super Series Championship. Early break here from Wolves, almost threatened the pop. And here they go again. Marvin Hess eventually getting the ball after that knock on. It's number 6, Ed Timpson.
Advantage is
Looks
over.
suspiciously like Rory Knott. We'll double check that one as well. And he's holding his knee. That looked like a nasty one.
6, wait, guys, wait. Now.
Bryce underneath the ball.
There's a counter-attack on here for Stirling Wolves if we can move it.
Here goes McKnight.
No.
You can see there, Cameron Scott is on. We saw Craig Jackson, the starting 10, pick up a nasty looking knock. Advantage, I think, for the high tackle. Marvin Hess gets that onto Owsley. Wriggling his way through a couple of challenges. That's Cal Davis, another half-time sub. Jake Kerr not making it out for the second half. Wilson, lovely little step from the flanker. It might need a moment of magic to try and unlock this Stirling defence yet again. McAndrew to Bratton.
Badges is over now. Don't for 20 minutes.
Wilson shutting it out, and again just a little messy in the Watsons attack.
Much quicker though, much crisper, much more vigour in order to try and play off quick ball. We saw 2 counter-attacks from Stirling Wolves. The first one came down the short side. It was much quicker possession, and then from the turnover thereafter, Watsonians coming alive, moving the ball quickly through the hands, trying to get that extra tip-on pass, shift the point of contact. So a much crisper start to the second half, although the errors are still there. It's much crisper in terms of attack and mentality than it was in the first.
And 5. That's once. Still on. Ball's out. Still always connected.
McGee goes long. Owsley lets it bounce before Matt Reid clears away. So either Scott or Holden will move to fly half with the loss of Craig Jackson. Another big tackle. We've seen a couple of them tonight as the defences have dominated. McGee from the Bears man, big hit from Hasdill.
Through the middle.
Wolves turnover. Who can really start this second half on the front foot?
Wait there.
McGee. Scopes bursting out of the line, putting the Wolves attack under pressure. It's just fairly stationary at the moment as Hiddleston tries to punch up.
What's now 21? Don't touch him.
Scott, nice little pass to Connor Gordon. Hasn't had his hands on the ball too much. Holden to Hiddleston. Stirling enjoying a bit more possession at the start of this half. It's taken over there by Matt Reid, but it was out on the full. In fact, I think a mark was called.
It was clever, wasn't it? It was clever from Reid to mark it. Stirling kicking more often and earlier in this second half. I've seen Glenn Bryce made a couple of fantastic breaks in the first half, trying to launch another counter-attack. Van Nieuwkerk's unlucky not to win that turnover.
Soft hands there from James Pout. Southern, a pocket rocket, almost spotting a gap. Here's Timpson, and gets the offload away, and McKnight will be in for Stirling's score. The Wolves hit back quickly in this second half, and it's Ross McKnight, the former Watsonian.
Much more, we said it already, much more attacking influence, much more attacking edge to both teams' play, but it's the first breakthrough, the second half for the whole side. Stirling Wolves, Southern keeping the ball alive, popping it up, and that does look like Rooney up. Getting his hands free, working through, popping off the deck end, 2 offloads in quick succession. Great support line from Ross McKnight, fighting hard to get right in behind the ball and hit the ball at pace, dot down just to the left-hand side of the post, and there's been a much more attacking intent from both sides in the second half. Quicker possession, able to shift the ball a little bit further, try and attack the shoulder or the edge of the defence rather than straight into where the defence is strong. And Stirling Wolves get the reward for that in the first try of the second half.
And unsurprisingly, the kick is good from Marcus Holden, the championship's top point scorer. Stirling draw level, only 6 minutes into this second half. And it's very, very hard to see which way this game's going to go at the moment. Watsonians probably the favourites pre-match.
Just more conviction, really. And from the start of the second half, it looks as if both teams have been read the right act and say, listen, let's commit to this. Yeah, the conditions are greasy, it's slippy, but let's commit to what we're doing, stick to our structures, play with an intensity. And the second half's been so much better so far. Holden with a long clearance kick. Decent chase from McKnight as well.
Oh, knock on there from the Wolves after a fantastic chase. I think there's been another change there. Kyle McGee replaced by
4, sub.
Eric Davey. And a sub for Watsons as well.
Knock on.
Quagga van Niekerk replaced by Jamie Beresford.
Okay, red.
You can see as well,
Ready, guys.
I mean, Stirling Wolves didn't get the reward there. It was a knock on, but they've driven over the top of the ball at that breakdown. And they've driven over a previous breakdown already when they turn over and they build up to a try, so they are putting more pressure at that breakdown than they did in the first half as well.
I think probably before that last try. So I'm back in case you were calling for me.
Crouch.
The scrums were messy in the first half.
Set.
And you saw a couple of clean ones, and that one looks pretty solid. Candron back at combine. That was a much clearer attack
Ball was
from
out.
Watsonians. Oh, another big hit from Connor Gordon.
Tackle 11 off.
In a couple of monsters so far tonight.
Yes.
He's back to his feet quickly and quick into the action. There he goes again. A more upright tackle there.
4
But
off feet.
not only does he make those physical collisions, he's back and looking for more, forcing the kick.
Bryce. Well, that was illegal there from Neil Irvin Hess. Bit cynical, perhaps.
Yeah, penalty only for me. She looks as if he's limping a little bit as well. Neil Irvin Hess actually, we need to have another look whether it was one hand or two. I think he did have actually almost try to get two hands to it. But even there's a penalty taken pretty quickly from Glenn Bryce. Ball into touch. Still the Moles are trying to get a tempo into this game. Irvin Hess struggling a little bit. I think a penalty is fair enough for that.
I think the Wolves just feeling the momentum is certainly with them, and they're going to try and capitalise whilst they have it. Hiddleston with the throw in the slightly darker corner of the ground.
Vantage knock on.
And there's a knock on there. It's another mistake from the Wolves from the
Take it
set
back in
piece.
line.
And another area
You're outside.
of the pitch
yes.
where it counts.
Outside. Use the
They
9.
need to make the most of these attacking chances, as the Watsons defence won't give them many.
Vantage over.
We talked about their lack of try scoring. They've been fairly resolute at the
Pass
back,
to
though.
touch.
Only 36 points conceded
White ball.
for
Alright, yeah.
tonight's game.
Time.
Only 43 total. And right you are, Chris.
Popped out, you sit us back.
Neil Irvin Hess sitting on the deck. It looks like he's picked up an injury.
Yeah, Watsons won't want to lose him. Captain, dynamic ball carrier, great in the line out. Runs great support lines as well, but it looks like he's struggling with a knee injury. Just that last play before, that phase before, it looked as if, when he committed that knock on, it looked as if he was struggling a little bit. Quite a high injury toll as well. What's this, week 5? And it's,
Doing all right?
you know, already we've seen 2 or 3 players have to be, well, 3 or 4 players forced from the field through injury.
Craig Jackson for the hosts. Jake Kerr going off at half-time. Of course, that might have been a purely tactical decision. Cal Davis isn't a bad replacement.
Yeah. The stalwart of the Super Series is Cal Davis. Another hooker that scores tries, isn't a surprise.
He's got 4 against
Guys,
Stirling
still wait for
Wolves in
8.
his time in the championship.
Relax. Relax. Still down.
5 tries in the sprint, 5 tries in the inaugural season of the Super
I don't really
6.
like what I play, but he's up. Cool, you've got your mark.
That's Irvine Hess.
Where gave it to
Limping
you?
back to his feet. He's not
Time
going to be
on.
replaced just yet. Kieran Watt would be the potential replacement, with Campbell Wilson, Jamie Beresford already on the pitch. That Wolves maul.
That's
They're
once.
going.
Out.
And you can hear the shout from the Wolves pack. Let's go, and they are going. Hiddleston struggling to keep up really at the back.
Advantage.
He's not bound either. He has to be bound with the shoulder, so he's just holding on with his
Right,
hands.
you've
He's
got
lucky to get away with that.
Oh, still going somehow. And eventually Eric Davey gets it out.
Backwards.
Scott, the pass is poor. And Holden will have to try and rescue this. Lewis Berg won't let him.
No advantage. Numbers again, please, Tony.
But there was an advantage
19 side
to
entry.
Sterling. And again, they get away with one there.
Yeah, side entry at the maul. I think Stirling's maul's excellent. We mentioned it beforehand, isn't it? And it's creeping forward slowly, but it's under total control. I think, as I said there, Gregor Hiddleston has to make sure he's bound by the shoulder. And he almost detached a couple of times there, but because of that incessant kind of pressure on Watsonians,
please.
they have to try and
Watson,
force
both
it. They're
sides.
jumping at the side to try and stop
there.
them all, and they're
Copy, copy,
penalising.
Sterling.
We'd imagine maybe the same thing will happen here. Watsonians have had success winning against the throw, so whether they go up and challenge us, they don't, they stay down.
They don't, and that rolling maul has been so dangerous for
That's
the
once.
Wolves tonight. Trying
Okay,
to get
9.
it going again. Eric Davey
Through the middle. It's broken away, tackle. Hands
managed
off.
just to get it out the back.
He was through the middle.
The Scopes did well through the
Lost.
middle,
Stay.
did really well the big second row.
Off him now.
Holden, the acting scrum half. For Davey, fancies a little snipe himself.
It's there. Stay.
Rockley,
No. Quiet.
well, Rory Campbell laying down the law there. As Hiddleston crashes into another challenge. Wolves trying to take the lead for the first time tonight. And what you'd have to say, could be a potential upset here at Bridgehaugh. Gordon, the ball behind him. He did well to face up to that. A big hit from Irvin Hess, that injury
Oh, wait, now.
not stopping him
Watch there.
for too long. Hasdall slammed back in the tackle.
Good defence from Watsonians this time, isn't it? Not only the initial tackle, but the work after that to drive back
Advantage, knock on.
and the forced error.
Tackle.
And that's Bratton
Leave him.
picking
Oh.
up.
Advantage over.
Watsonians just disrupting Stirling's tempo. Couldn't get firing after the first couple of phases. And now Baggett can clear them down the pitch.
That's a good kick. Really good kick. The identification of the space, but also the execution to get it. It's gone quickly. And Glenn Bryce has done it again.
Well, not too many people can scamper away from Freddie Owsley. Glenn Bryce is one of them.
Hold there.
He's been so impressive tonight. I was going to call him the veteran fullback. That feels a little harsh.
Watch the win. Watch
He's
one.
certainly not playing like an
Still
elder
side
statesman. So quick, so sharp. His awareness, his backfield coverage has been outstanding so far. Line breaks, the lot.
Baggett's done extremely well there. He's able to get the
Two
pass
off.
away as well
Clear release,
before
please,
repositioning himself. But McAndrew will go to Cal
Backwards.
Davis. That pass is off target.
He was facing forward.
It's a knock on against Watsonians.
Yep. 8.
Better
Stop.
line speed from Stirling Wolves forces
Eight.
error there. You can
Yep.
see Cal Davis, you know exactly what you can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to, because he's under pressure, he's trying to flick that ball behind the player to Jason Baggett, but the communication breaks down. The ball's just too far inside Baggett's shoulder, but that was the right decision. It was just poorly executed, and
Okay. Mark's here.
because Stirling Wolves are up that little bit quicker, they're forcing those passes to be made.
Both of you good. You keep that up.
And there's that change that Watsonians probably didn't want to make. The captain, the skipper, Neil Irvin Hess, is replaced by Kieran Watt. And that injury forcing him off. And that's a big blow for Watsonians.
Crouch.
Campbell Wilson moved to number 8.
Fine.
You'd imagine he's comfortable across all back 3 positions, but
Here we come.
It's a knock-on effect it has in your line-out
I know you're
as
big
well.
guy, but we need to get space so you can get a
And
bind.
your line-out calling.
Get your feet in the right place.
Certainly a high rate of attrition this evening.
There's just been so many knock-ons, forced and unenforced. I think if I was counting them, I'd have run out of fingers and thumbs by now.
Binds! Set!
That scrum looking far more steady in this second half. Holden tries a little kick through, it'll come to Rockley. We need some support.
Leave. 10 off. Advantage.
And Stirling have the advantage. Watsonians had an opportunity to turn over there. They didn't make the most of it. Scott flings it out to Southern. Gordon with the pass, almost picked off. But Bryce gets there, pops inside. Gordon trying to find the offload as well. It comes loose, but Davey gathers. Hasdell
Tackle.
held up really well. Holden clings on. Tamasitis.
Ball was already out.
Davey to Holden. That one goes down.
You've gone out the first time and then second time you go for a movement.
But Stirling
Watch
had
that.
the penalty coming their way.
Not going anywhere.
Offside there, I think, against Jason Baggett.
See?
Yeah. Stirling almost got away against Glenn Bryce. It almost was causing
Number
most
10,
of the damage out
seconds
there.
into the ruck.
Jason Baggett was already penalised. He was in a really good
Hold on,
position
5 years.
initially over the top of the ball, then was cleared out, and then went
Okay, let's
back
go.
on for a second bite of the cherry. So he was penalised because, as I said before, though,
Just inside.
you could only use your hands if you're a first arriving player. He was cleared out, so the ruck was formed. He went back after it.
Mark here, please.
Thought there maybe
That's
Holden
you.
would have had
On there.
a look at goal.
Space, please, guys.
Maybe a little bit too far out, but if you wanted to touch, and Hiddleston's going to feed this line again, and when the maul's been successful, or it's been effective, will they get success off the back of it?
Advantage lifting the legs.
There they
Number
go
5.
again. And Stirling have the advantage. Alfie Scopes penalised as the maul
18 out now.
rolls towards the line. Davey
Okay, 9. Use it. You have advantage.
receives the ball from Hiddleston. Scott
He's on
to
side.
Holden, tries
Oh,
that
the win.
crossfield kick. It looks like it's been well read. McKnight charging in.
Go back.
And we come back for
Number
the
5
initial
lifting the legs.
infringement.
Yeah, Matt Reid read that pretty well. He was always in the position to defuse it, but still had to get up and win the
Sorry.
possession. But the penalty had been gone.
Lifting the
Penalties are
legs.
mounting up against Watsonians in this corner. He was lifting the leg that time. I think was it Scopes
There's the
that
mark.
lifted the leg in the maul. So I think we'll potentially see another
On the line, please.
maul.
No infringements here. Get your entry right.
Takes a brave
Contact number 5 lifting legs.
defensive
On
element,
the
but
line, please. You're
I
on the
think
line.
Watsonians' best chance of disrupting this is getting up near at source, really stopping, try to force a turnover at source rather than staying down and stopping them all. But we'll see.
That's
They
once.
chose to
Sideways.
stay down and try and stop them all. Doesn't look like it's working at the moment. There's a push towards the corner, but they go over the line. And Stirling take the lead for the first time in this match.
9. 21.
They go over
See that last
in
goal
the
there?
corner after
It was atrocious.
a successful rolling maul.
Get it down, Tunnel, please. I don't want to have to re-kick you for that.
We'll assume it's Gregor Hiddleston at the back of the pack.
5.
Certainly has the ball there. The green and black scrum cap. As Watsonians trying to push them out of play, but instead it's splintered and that maul got over. And it is Gregor Hiddleston, the man who emerges triumphantly with the ball.
He does really well, Hiddleston. The initial defence is actually okay from Watsonians there, so the first stoppage calls made there, and then Stirling Wolves get the roll on. But as Hiddleston comes off and fights on the inside, he does really well to go almost to the inside shoulder of the driving defence and squeeze over in the corner. Good score from the hooker.
His third try against Watsonians. His fourth of the season, and that is a fantastic kick from Marcus Holden
Don't shout at him. That's just bad.
to put
Come on. You're better than that.
the Stirling Wolves 7 points ahead of their visitors Watsonians, who's 100% record in this tournament so far. looks dangerously under threat.
Yeah, they've got a process that works for them. Stirling Wolves, what Watsonians have to do is stop giving penalties away, stop giving the opportunity for the Wolves to kick to the corner and creep up the pitch through that maul.
Ball's there.
We tick towards the hour mark. Stirling with 2 second-half tries that have put them ahead. 20 minutes left to play here at Bridgehaugh. Can they extend their lead? Will they hold on, or will the Watsonians mount a fight back? Glenn Bryce, another lovely step. And there he feeds Southern. Stirling, the momentum's behind them. Can Southern feed McKnight? No, it goes to deck.
Okay.
Almost a fantastic third try.
Whistle's gone, relax.
Campbell Wilson pleading innocence there.
Didn't hear it. Glenn Bryce again. He's almost he overcalls the call there. I think David that wants to catch it. Bryce says, no, I'll take this. And then he just draws the defence onto him, 2 steps, and then just delivers the ball at the perfect time. Southern could probably get this away just a little bit earlier. If he can get that pass away before King's tackle comes in, there's more chance of it being out in front of Ross McKnight.
Same again, please. He's watching.
But great counter-attack yet again from Glenn Bryce and Stirling Wolves. Campbell Wilson fighting really hard to get back, as he always does, to force a turnover and make a nuisance at the breakdown.
Ready?
But everything's with the Wolves at the moment, the home side, isn't it? 14 unanswered points, the penalty count, the counter-attacks. Watsonians have to find a way into this in the second half.
Steady.
It's a good scrum as well.
It's a huge shove from the hosts. And the advantage is going their way. And everything is going the way of the Stirling Wolves at the moment.
That's a big scrum from the Stirling Wolves. And what it does is give an opportunity for Glenn Bryce, I think, on this side to pop the ball back in the corner. We said that the way into the game for Stirling Wolves in the second half has been more intensity, a quicker ambition, or a more crisp ambition in attack, but also the penalty count that they're winning in the second half, allowing the ball to get put to touch, and then Stirling Wolves to launch this maul. It's giving them good returns. We'll see it again. I wonder if Watsonians will change their tack and try and put pressure on the throw and get up and win something.
Yeah, sorry.
Hiddleston, he'll be sniffing around this. Well, Watsonians stay down again.
That's once.
And that Stirling pack really has dominated this second half. Hiddleston again clinging on to the back of that maul.
Broken away.
Do it again.
Breaks away. He lunges for the line. He scored.
Okay. Careful, guys. Relax.
A double fire duo for Gregor Hiddleston. Put Stirling in a commanding position here at Bridgehaugh.
It's almost a carbon copy of the one before, initially defended reasonably well by Watsonians, but it's almost the slow pace, the gradual pace and the control that allows Stirling Wolves to get into position. I tell you what, Gregor Hiddleston has to do an awful lot on his own off the back of that when it's initially stopped. He gets through Carl Davis's challenge, he drives towards the line, he's a long way out. When you come off that maul, as he's forced to do here, you need your support players around about you, but Gregor Hiddleston doesn't, because he uses his footwork and he gets towards that and over the try line. Watsonians will be really disappointed with the defence of that maul after the initial stop. And Hiddleston, well, he just wants it more, doesn't he? He wants to get, that's 2 tries for him in 3 minutes. And 19 unanswered points for the home side.
It's been some fight back from the Stirling Wolves. Only 7 points down, but what a second half.
Yeah, my side have been cool.
Holden adds the extras. That's now 21 unanswered points.
Time off.
2 converted tries away from Watsonians. And only about 16 minutes left to play. It looks like Stirling Wolves are on for another home victory against Watsonians. Their first victory over them since 2021. And this would be an upset in the Super Series Championship. Make no mistake.
Yeah, we said at the start that Stirling have probably been better than the results, if that makes sense. and you can see the components of their game. The certainly that maul, that scrum that allowed them to win the penalty, the maul that followed up from that, another try. Good decision makers, but Watsonians were really frustrated with how they've played. They didn't take those opportunities in the first half, and then since the second half, they've been unable to get any control of the game.
Well, it was only last week that Stirling had their first win against the FOSROC Future 15. They started this championship with a 2-point loss to Ayrshire Bulls, followed it up with a 3-point loss to Heriot. So, as you say, Chris, those results really narrow defeats. Maybe doesn't quite tell the full picture when you're looking at it on the form sheet. Those 2 losses, but narrow losses, and they're really putting together some good rugby in this second half.
Defensive have been sound as well. This is better from Watsonians' point of view, just the intensity and the tempo they're trying to set an attack, but that Stirling Wolves defence has got a lot of confidence from the number of tackles it's made already, and it's coming forward and putting pressure on the away side. But Watsonians need this. They need time in possession. They need to threaten the defence if they want to get back into it.
Well, they've made a change at scrum half. He is on this time, 22, Murray Scott.
Stay there, wait. No.
You can see him instructing his pack
Watch.
already. There's a seasoned Super Series player, Murray Scott. Been at Watsonians a long time.
Sorry. Clear knock on that side.
A knock on by Watsonians, and again an error creeps in.
Clear in the air. Number 4. Not you.
As Gregor Hiddleston receives a bit of treatment.
Yeah, it's really slow possession. Murray Scott pops the ball up in the air, and Stirling Wolves should be claiming this. Holden, I think's thinking somebody closer is going to take possession. It's Connor Gordon and Hiddleston. It kind of bounces between.
That's fine. He's down.
Google reacts pretty well to. Sorry, was it Davidson? Google reacts pretty well, but then it's eventually knocked on. And, man, there, well, 2 tries in 3 minutes. So hard working. Gregor Hiddleston can play in the back row as well. Excellent over the top of the ball. Good ball carrier. Excellent defender. Part of the Glasgow Warriors setup. He really is a quality player, Gregor Hiddleston.
That's him up to 5 tries for the season now. Stirling Wolves' top try scorer. And as you say, Chris, he started at open side flanker the last time these sides met in the championship. And much changed Stirling Wolves side since that day. Only Ryan Southern and James Pow remain from the starting 15.
No dropping standards, please. Keep the height.
Moved into the back row. Hiddleston. Rainer Kennedy is on, is it? Yeah,
I think so. Another try-scoring machine, Rainer Kennedy.
It's these hookers. Yeah. I wonder if it's a team that the hookers know. The record try scorer, the top try scorer at the moment.
Fine.
It's certainly the shape of the game, isn't it?
Set.
I wonder if we'll see Stirling kick early here, if they can get a solid scrum and just apply pressure onto Watsonians, try and make them be effective from further out.
Take him back in. Hold in front, guys.
There you go. Glenn Bryce goes to boot. It's just back with Pringle.
Away. 12 out. Good take.
That's a great take.
Okay,
Mikey
9.
Heron, who took that. Another Stirling sub. Now, was that in the air? Is that a knock on?
Mark's here.
Yeah, that was in the air. Is it Rainer Kennedy? He just has to keep his discipline there because it was a good kick from Davey. And obviously Rainer Kennedy wants to make an impact. He's just on the field. He wants to assert his physicality, but that's a discipline. You have to wait just half a second just before that foot hits the ground. Jason Baggett.
Like that, please, guys.
Quite rightly a penalty.
Well called by the man in the middle, Rory Campbell.
There you go.
A couple of changes in that
Mark
Stirling
there,
front row as well. Rainer Kennedy, as we say, I think he's wearing number 24. Number 25 is Lewis Skinner. He's also on. Watsonians getting a shove of their own on. Scott to Baggett. This is better from Watsonians if they can get it wide. Here's King, dancing inside. Scott, able to keep that alive.
Step out, he stepped out.
Watsonians come again. Baggett to Davies. Did well to hold on to that.
It's much quicker tempo again, isn't it, from Watsonians? Getting hands free in the tackle. Murray Scott being able to whip the ball away quickly. Scott King's making a big impact every time he touches the ball.
No, that's not good news for Watsonians. Jason Baggett writhing around on the deck as Cal Davies takes it into contact. Scott looks for Berg. No surprise he gets his head down.
No. Ball was always there for you,
Watsonians, the tempo just gone. Can Murray Scott inject it back in to this Watsonians attack? Beresford
let go of it.
takes it forward. It's just slowed up a little here as
Okay, 25 off.
Watsonians try and get through the gears. Can they get a score to set up what could be a pretty tense final 10 minutes? Scott, it's whipped out wide. Owsley off his wing. Comes back to Scott. Scopes. They're not far away here, not far away at all. Pringle to Watts, he just holds on to that.
Ball's there.
Baggett back to his feet, loses it briefly, regathers. Watsons, they've had a couple of lifelines and eventually they do throw it away.
Listen to the reaction of the Stirling Wolves defence, and they've been tested there. We said in the first half of the defence was excellent, but at times it was only tested in terms of, are you prepared to make the tackle? Watsonians are flicking the ball left, right and centre there. They're coming back down the short side. They've got dummy runners in good positions. They're giving the extra pass. There's movement, momentum onto the ball, so it's much more threatening for the defence. But again, Stirling Wolves hold out. That ball back inside. You've got three players ready for that ball back in. It's knocked on.
Okay, Marcus.
And Stirling Wolves, a really good defensive set there where the game needs it. You know, but Stirling Wolves certainly need it. If momentum's slightly ebbing towards Watsonians, if they get a score there, mood boosts, and you're in for a pretty tense last few minutes, 10 minutes or so. But big defensive set from the home side there.
And there's George Breeze on in the front row as well for Stirling Wolves, making his return from injury. Loose head forward.
Left to this mark.
This is a big scrum now. If Watsonians can turn this over,
work hard, please.
They're in a fantastic position to set up.
Yeah, this is one where you could almost attack if you're Watsonians.
Crouch.
Really go after it. You know, risk, even if it is a penalty, then you're kicking from the middle of the field, so there's not going to be as big a territorial advantage if Stirling do kick it. If I was Watsonians, I'd be really attacking this scrum.
The scrum eventually goes down, but Stirling have it.
Yeah, the Wolves have done really well.
The Wolves have won the penalty.
They stayed in the fight, they stayed in the scrum, and eventually won the penalty. Lewis Skinner, well, both Lewis Skinner and George Breeze have got a lot of experience. Have worked with Eddie Pollock, who was a prop himself, the head coach, often and been guided under his tutelage, and you can see that big scrums have been needed. They've stepped up both the starting front row and the replacements. That eats up another few seconds. It allows Glenn Bryce to find an excellent touch in opposition half.
You can't go quick.
Well, it's just not been George Pringle's night when it comes to gathering the ball.
Okay, there you go. Line,
accidentally backheeled one out in the first half,
guys,
and
no
he
double banking, clear access to the jumper.
See, if
drops that one into touch.
If you asked him to do that again, there's no chance he would have done it. Do you know, it's one of those ones where you just think that's just an error. A bit like, it's so frustrating, but you couldn't do it again if you tried.
It's unfortunate
That's
the cameras are on him. Another good solid set piece.
Don't go on the outside.
They're going to keep this moving forward. David doesn't need to play this as long as it's still moving.
Okay, Kennedy with it now. At the back, it's Davey. Goes to Scott. Holden. Bryce. Great tackle there from King. Scott comes in, smashed back.
Away. Don't. Well
I
done.
get the feeling the Wolves will be happy just to hold on to this ball at the moment.
The movement and
Sit
position's good and their shape's good. They've got their tails up there. Marcus holding direct operations, but again, there's a carry that's
Tackle, knee.
winning yardage. It's getting them on the front foot so they can, have different options.
Good mark.
Kicking off the front foot becomes an option, and that one's just carried too far, I think, from Marcus Holden.
Thank you,
They'll be
it's on the
disappointed
line.
with that because there was space to find there. But there's a composure to Stirling Wolves play at the moment that, again, shows that they having only that one victory so far in the Super Series probably isn't a true reflection of of their ability.
Let's go.
Final few moments for Watsonians. They really want to get back into this. Cal Davis will look to find his man and play quickly from this, I think.
Wilson gets it to Berg, and he's just held up by
Off feet
Connor
two.
Gordon. He's had a fantastic match. So we're getting slightly nearer towards player of the match territory. That's your 5-minute warning there, Chris.
I'll need it.
Again, Watsonians just driven
Okay,
back.
Look at Stirling defence as well. Nobody's committed there, so they're all on their feet. It allows them to come forward. It's a reasonably slow ball for Watsonians. Again, there's a solid white line that can come forward and put Davis under pressure.
Advantage.
Murray Scott trying to organise the chaos
Yeah, play
around him.
advantage.
High tackle there on King. That's better hands from Watsonians. Beresford.
Go back.
No advantage. Watson's
Careful,
come back
guys.
for that
Drop
high
it down.
tackle.
Manny Scott plays quickly at the base, doesn't he? I mean, he mentioned before how experienced and how many games he's played and how long he's been with the Watsonians, but it's certainly quicken up the tempo that forces some of these tackles to ride a little bit high
Just
because the
inside.
defence isn't in position quite as quickly as it
Five.
wants to be.
Sub. Number 5. Wait. Mark's there.
And that's the final
Guys, no
change
silly
for
things here.
Stirling.
Careful.
It's James Powes replaced by Tom Smith, try
Nothing
scorer
should be
last week.
Time on.
Say that. Most of the Stirling team were try scorers last week. That's better from Watsonians.
That's one.
Solid set piece.
Okay,
They
9.
have a rolling maul of their own in their arsenal.
He's through the middle.
Can't see that ball at all.
Right, 9.
But Rory Campbell has given the penalty to Stirling, and again that defence is held out.
I think it was Tom Smith just off the bench, straight in the line. It managed to get himself right through the middle of the maul because it was moving forward at a rate not really from Watsonians, but Tom Smith managed to get in there.
Yeah.
Collapses. He doesn't have to roll
9, you're
away. The ball's
outside.
turned over. It's just another good example of
Heights, please. Elbow one.
the form
You're outside the 20.
that Stirling Wolves have shown tonight. That they're under pressure here, but they're not showing it in terms of their behaviours, or they're being rash. They're doing the right thing at the right time. They're winning big turnovers and allowing them to take any momentum that Watsonians are trying to build out of the game.
They're playing with a lot of
Fine.
composure.
They
I
are,
don't think Watsonians have shown that at times.
No, you go back to some of the missed opportunities early on in the first 10-15 minutes for Watsonians, and that probably galvanised Stirling Wolves and certainly upset Watsonians. There's another scrum penalty. The set piece really taking care of itself for Stirling Wolves.
Right.
Oh, got a bit of trouble here.
A little bit of pushing and shoving between Murray Scott and Murray Scott and Gregor Hiddleston there. A little bit of a mismatch.
You don't know
I think Murray Scott not happy with the attention he was getting from Hiddleston
Yeah,
on the edge of that
I
scrum.
think Hiddleston was pulling him in and Manny Scott was trying to free his arms.
Mark's back here. Yeah.
You can see there Murray Scott not happy.
It's not worth it.
And he's quite
Forward
right
skills
not to
not
be
working.
happy. That should be a penalty against Gregor Hiddleston. But it's clever from Hiddleston because he gets away with it. But it should be a penalty. The reason Manny Scott's
Just
reacting
see.
like that is because he's being held in.
2 minutes, thank you.
Well, Gregor Hiddleston gets away with
Stay there.
that. As Raynor Kennedy prepares to take this throw. We tick down towards full time.
20 out.
Stirling Wolves
20 out.
actually a season-changing win. Still fairly early on, it must be said, but this would give them such momentum going into a tough run of fixtures. Knights up next, then the Bears, and the Ayrshire Bulls at Millbrae.
Stay. Okay, 9. Use.
Wolves,
Stay.
they look comfortable in seeing out this game, it must be said.
Yeah, composed and mature in a lot of decision making and their execution. And they've got that set piece to rely on as well as King sets off Watsonians again.
Here goes Berg. He gets away from one tackle, but then Bryce holds him up. That was a good counter from Watsonians. Big hit
He's away.
in the middle. Baggett juggling before he gets away.
Advantage.
And that's another spilled ball. The advantage to
Tackle,
Stirling.
release.
And the clock
check,
will
please, Andy.
dwindle down.
It's knock on advantage only. Okay. 1 minute to go. Stay there. Advantage over.
Hiddleston
Lost 20. Stirling will arrive up.
to the final throws.
Use it, 9. Lost
Davey.
now, 17.
Keen to take his time as Carl Main screams from the sidelines.
Backwards. Lost white, leave it. Your feet.
Holding on,
Stay.
can they get
Stay.
a score? Can Wolves turn over and possibly go for the
Leave
bonus point? Stranger things have happened as Owsley spills.
Just front box accurate, Andy.
More defence, more defensive pressure from Stirling Wolves in the
20
second
seconds to
half
go,
have
guys.
been completely dominant. Their scrum, their line out, 21
Okay, come on.
unanswered points. Their intensity
This will be last
in
play.
attack has been better. Their defence has had the structure it had in the first half,
Up we
but it's
come.
applied
Up we
far
come.
more pressure onto Watsonians. And Watsonians have to play here, of course they do. They're trailing the game, they're chasing the game,
Guys,
they have to
this will
go
be
for it.
last play.
But Stirling
Understand?
Wolves know that as
Thanks,
well
up we
and
come.
can force error, set up one last scrum
Stay
opportunity
in the
for,
contest.
as you say, a potential bonus point if they can get over for the fourth try.
Well, as they pack down, I think we're going to name
Crouch.
our player of the match. Camera's on him now. Chris, you can do the honours.
It's that man there, 2 tries, Gregor Hiddleston.
Set.
Glenn Bryce has
Hold
been
it.
outstanding at the back. I think Connor Gordon's been
Stay up.
utterly brilliant as well, but Gregor
Right,
Hiddleston's the
last
player of
play,
the
mate.
match this evening. 2 tries, his delivery at the line out set up a lot of
Use
that.
it.
His work around the breakdown, his defensive effort, he's played 2 positions, he's our player of the match.
A fantastic showing from a couple of Stirling players tonight. Hiddleston coming out on top. Looks like they are going to try and play for this bonus point, of course.
9.
In a league as tight as this.
Bryce,
I say that, then
Now
Glenn Bryce
still
does
in.
that. But in a league as tight as this, bonus points can be oh so important.
Absolutely, there's Hiddleston carrying again.
Release it.
Davey
Advantage over.
gets it out, Holden onto Breeze. He's capable of running them in from there, but he's held up nice and early. Holden goes back, the ball's spilled by McKnight, and that will be the final play of this game at Bridgehaugh. And a turn up for the books. A dominant showing in the second half from the Stirling Wolves. 21 unanswered points as they flew out of the traps after the break.
Well done.
And Watsonians simply had no response. It finishes at Bridgehaugh. Stirling Wolves 21, Watsonians 7. Only the one try in the first half to show you, but a couple more in the second. We'll take you through them in just a moment as the players shake hands. And it really was a fairly bruising encounter for both, but Stirling really have sent a message out tonight, haven't they, Chris?
Absolutely. I thought the way they defended throughout the evening was probably the highlight. And then their set piece in that second half that laid the platform for the 3 tries. Ross McKnight scored and then Hiddleston with 2. Watsonians will be really frustrated because they'd won 3 from 3. They're a quality side, Watsonians, but they didn't make those all that pressure in the 15 minutes count. They didn't register anything on the scoreboard really until after 20 minutes, but the first 15 were almost exclusively in Stirling Wolves 22. Some good defence from Stirling Wolves, some unforced handling errors from Watsonians. I think Nicky Walker and Watsonians will be rightly disappointed because it wasn't really a true showing of how they're capable or how good they can be, but it was almost like a statement performance from Stirling Wolves in terms of the season, in terms of the series, because it was under pressure. They fought through that, then got themselves ahead in the second half, but then had to manage that final 20 minutes really, really well. Hiddleston's second try, so Stirling Wolves' third, was in 62 minutes. From there, they just grew in stature, they grew in terms of their decision making and their control, and it was a really top performance from the home side, deserving of the victory.
And of course it's such a change from last season, the last championship I should say, when Stirling Wolves were down the bottom of the pack and looked easy to beat. They certainly didn't look like that tonight.
No, not at all. They played some sparkling rugby last year as well, and played some really good kind of wide to wide expansive rugby, but there seems to be a harder edge at the moment in terms of their decision making and their execution and their ability to stay in games. So a lot of that will have been the platform they set last season, but they're certainly in a good place at the moment. And Watsonians are a quality side themselves. They got off to the flying start, didn't capitalise until 20 minutes. This was the first try. Hiddleston's throw just goes over the top. You see the line-up movement's probably too slow. The ball's just fired over the top. Jake Kerr, who went off at half-time, got the first try, the only try the first half. Reacts first and wriggles over. That was converted as well by Jason Baggett, so that was 7-0 lead. That was scored at half-time. Again, look at the movement. The jerseys in the white, it's so slow that the Watsonians player can mirror it, the movement, put pressure on, and that was the only try in the first half.
It's just night and day, really, that Stirling Wolves performance from the first half to the second. Hiddleston, he was the man of the match, but this was an error from him and from the forwards in that line-out pack. And Kerr making the most of it. Yeah,
he just felt at the time, for all the dominance and possession that Watsonians had, they should have been further ahead. There should have been a buffer, but then the second half was all Stirling Wolves. Much more intensity, much more sharpness, much more vigour in the attack. Look at the opportunity to get the hands free, and then the offloads. There's 2 or 3 cracking offloads in this try alone. Look at the support line, bang, from Ross McKnight out to in, making the offload short so it's not near long, so you can hit it at full pace, and then finishing off. He's so quick, you're not going to reel Ross McKnight back in. But this was, you say it was like night and day. It was in terms of intensity in the game as well, not just from Stirling Wolves. It was a much quicker, crisper performance in the second half. Really not.
It's not a bad step there from Murray.
It's
not
good,
either.
Isn't it? And then he gets the offload off the deck, and that support channel from Ross McKnight, excellent. And from there, I mean, it was, well, that was 45 minutes. That was 5 minutes into the second half. I think the ball had been in play for about 3 minutes before we got this try. And Watsonians never really got a foothold in the game after this at all.
Well, here we go. Here's another look at that little step from Knott, and just shoves McAndrew out the way. And McKnight, a man mountain really, and he's so hard to stop. You really weren't ever going to lay a glove on him really from there. A fantastic finish from the winger. And then not long later, Stirling Wolves had their second, and they got in front for the first time in this match. You wouldn't think it, the way they were playing with such confidence in this second half, and it was their own performance in that first 15-20 minutes that really gave them that.
Yeah, it was, and the pressure that applied on Watsonians resulted in Watsonians giving away too many penalties. There was a series of maybe 5, 6, 7 penalties in succession against Watsonians that allowed Stirling Wolves to get multiple opportunities, 3 or 4 line-outs where they went to the maul further out that led to another penalty. So that built momentum, but also psychologically it told Stirling Wolves and Watsonians that this was a weapon for the home side, and they just picked at it and kept going and going. Got that score from Gregor Hiddleston, well finished. He finishes the next one as well. It was only 3 minutes between the 2 Hiddleston tries. This is the second of them. He had to do a lot more off the back of them all here than he did off the first one, but good awareness, good evasion. But it was conceded, it was penalties that were being conceded from Watsonians that was allowing Stirling Wolves the opportunity to do what they were doing effectively. There was a scrum penalty, 1 kick to the corner from the resulting line out. Hiddleston got his second try, Stirling's third, and that with the conversion made it 21-7 to the home side.
And Watson's had plenty of chances from similar positions in the first half, but it was only Stirling who were able to convert them really in the second, wasn't it, with Gregor Hiddleston at the back?
Yeah, the weather dried up a little bit, obviously. And it's a weapon. It's a weapon for Stirling Wolves. You have to work really, really hard. It's very difficult to stop. And we said in commentary on a number of occasions, especially when you maybe for the warning signs were there for Watsonians where they had conceded yardage further up the field, but not conceded tries. Get up, challenge it, challenge a throw. And as I say, the other results, a big away win for Ayrshire Bulls this evening.
Yeah, the Ayrshire Bulls, they'll be extending their lead at the top of the table. 4 wins from 5 for them after that 7-48 win at Megatland against Barmuir Bears. And of course, Heriots playing tomorrow against the FOSROC Future 15, looking to bounce back in any way, shape or form from that 92-14 loss here at Bridgehaugh last weekend. Heriots currently 2 wins from 3. We'll see how they get on. Well, there we go. A fantastic second half. If the first half was maybe a little lacking here at Bridgehaugh, a big win for Stirling Wolves. They've stated their intent, and I think they've sent out a warning message for the rest of the league with a second half showing 21 unanswered points. They beat Watsonians 21 points to 7 from Chris and myself. Thank you very much. Have a good one.